guys, welcome back to the Scrapologist here with another fight card breakdown show, kind of like the podcast formula. If you're one of the people that have been joining the channel over the last couple of days because of all of the insane traffic on the street fight breakdown that I did.
What are you at now for that?
It's like 1,700 views.
Nice.
So like we've got I think 20 subscribers in the last couple of days. So if you're new to the channel, welcome to the channel. This is Trevor. If you don't know who Trevor is, he's one of the busiest guys in mixed martial arts. He literally went and did a entire ass fight week and card
In Kansas City.
in Kansas City, flew back, drove straight to here to watch martial arts.
Yes, yeah.
Under the advice of his girlfriend and all of his immediate friends and family, he took one day off yesterday.
One day, actually, people were like, you can take a day off. And I'm like, no, I cannot.
And now he's back in the gym again. But guys, before we get started, remember that the show is sponsored by Badge of Honor Clothing. That's Badge of Honor Clothing at badgeofhonorco.com. When we get to 100 subscribers on the channel, they're actually going to release a Scrapologist t-shirt. Ooh. Alex Pokey, one of the guys who owns Badge of Honor, is working on all of our graphics and stuff for the channel that are upcoming. So be sure to stay tuned for that. And yeah, we're talking about the UFC 263 results. But before we get into it, I wanted to talk to Trevor about coaching on an Invicta card, because a ton of women, I think it's the statistic is like 89% of female fighters that are signed to the UFC come from Invicta. So it's like the bona fide women's feeder league to the majors. So
yeah.
Have you ever done a UFC corner before?
I have not.
So this is like the biggest corner.
Yeah, really. I mean, Lion Fight. I think like Lion Fight Invicta is the biggest I've gone. I mean, UFC is one of those things where it's like we're shooting for there eventually. Same thing with Bellator, but like going to Invicta. It was great to go to a show and feel like, yeah, we do belong there. Like, I know Sam is newer to, like, the proer levels, but seeing her backstage, some of the girls were working on, seeing where Sam's going to be at, like, in X amount of fights and the progress she had, we see, like, you know, Sam belongs there. So it was really cool to be behind the scenes there.
You were the solo cornerman, right?
Yes, solo corner.
So to catch you guys up, Trevor is actually the coach for Samantha the Wolf Queen Seth. She did the 105 tournament for Invicta as a reserve fighter, and she wasn't even sure if she was going to get a fight, right?
Yeah, and that was really stressful because even me, they're like, hey, Trevor, so she might have a fight. And I'm like, what do you mean by maybe? I don't like maybes. But it turned out she got the fight. She had the most popular, I think, Invicta social media post. Like when they put the thing up of like the Wolf Queen stuff, like it got shared left and right, and because she was the most popular reserve fighter, she got a bout.
Oh, that's cool.
So that's kind of how it worked out, and I went, I'm not millennial enough to understand the process, but like, okay, if that's how Jake Paul got a fight with Floyd Mayweather, I get it.
She's one of the best self-promoters of anyone.
Well, it's not, but Sam also, because of that and because of the message she puts out there, who Sam is as a person, she has a following that will support her 100%. And that's why it's like when John was like, hey, can you go? And I was like, 100%.
Wow.
Like, you know, like it's just because of like who Sam is and like who she means to people. Like, you know, people want Sam to fight because like of her message of self-belief and mental health and stuff like that. So
you got to rub elbows with some names.
Oh
as well.
yeah, man, it was dope to fanboy out over Julie Kedzie, who is a women's MMA pioneer. Hysterical, but amazing at her job, being like the fight liaison and commentator for Invicta. She handles a lot behind the scenes and crushes it. Megan Anderson,
of course, everybody knows her.
So tall.
Yeah, I asked you when
I felt like such a kindergartner. I just went, "Oh, you're the teacher."
That was the first thing I asked Trevor when I saw him again after he got back. Was like, how tall was Megan Anderson next to you?
Oh my goodness! I'm just like, oh God, you are so tall and
She's like the lady in Powerpuff Girls that you never see.
You never see her face. Yeah. Like she was like the so tall.
Very fun weekend, cool. And Samantha fought very well.
Also, Shannon Knapp. Great. I told her like it was so great to meet her and see how she carries herself. Like she is. I feel like it's like she's like Dana White's sister. Like like I really.
She's like
also
the only promoter that you'll find that most people have nothing bad to say about.
Dude, and she's there, like, she was in the locker rooms with the fighters, like, she gathered them around, she was like, hey, thank you, like, go have fun, like, this is for, like, a bigger picture, and seeing how professionally she runs it and how much she cares about the sport, I was blown away to meet her, and I'm a huge Shannon Knapp fan, even before I got to meet her. Yeah. And then Angela Hill, got to meet her a bunch.
Yeah, it sounds like she was very involved.
She was very involved. She had a teammate there, Paulina Granado. And Angela Hill is definitely the life of the party. I hung out with Alicia Zapatella a bunch, and her coach James. Like, kind of all met them. We all just like kind of clicked and hung out. Had a great time just getting to interact with other, experienced coaches and picking the brains of these fighters and seeing where they've gone and what they're doing next.
And like you said, you felt like you belonged there. So.
Yeah, like in a weird way. Yeah.
The way she showed up, the way she made weight, the way she
Steph
fought.
is such a professional class act to take it on short notice to make the weight like she did on 2 weeks' notice, because she doesn't have the easiest cut. She knows how to cut, though. She's a pro. She made it.
In one of the toughest divisions, really, to get down
105.
To. Yeah, it's a very, very scarce division talent-wise, unless you want to go fight in Asia or in Invicta. Like, those are the options, really.
But get this, man, it looks like Invicta is outbidding certain 105ers for their 1FC contracts. So Invicta with their new buyouts on the way, man. Like, they're really changing the game. They're about to have audience shows come back soon. So I feel like Invicta is about to blow up in a big way, especially with their YouTube broadcasting and Access TV now. Lots of exciting stuff to happen in Invicta.
Coming back from Kansas City, your flight was actually delayed significantly.
Yes,
you were supposed to originally land around 6 p.m.
Never fun. It's even worse for the hangover.
Yeah. Get here right in time for the early prelims.
Yeah, dude, that was the plan. Like, the plan was the original plan. Like, man, we're landing at 6. We're right to the airport. I can take a shower beforehand. But instead, we are flying back here to try and catch it. We got here just right and the start of the Leon Edwards Nate Diaz fight.
So we'll be talking strictly about the main card today, but I do want to say Drew Dober, Brad Riddell fight of the night.
Oh, I gotta go back and watch that. I want to go back and watch. I'm gonna watch that tonight.
It was one of those fights like Arlovsky Brown.
Where was the fight won at?
It was just traded. It was just one in the exchanges, but the exchanges were so wild.
Really?
But Brad Riddell just looked, so comfortable in the pocket, trading with Dober, who hits so hard. But the thing about Dober that I really took away from that fight is that he's just inhumanly tough.
Well, remember, Brad Riddell has a lengthy Muay Thai background.
Yeah, and
very lengthy Muay Thai background.
City kickboxing fighter.
Yeah, he was with Tiger Muay Thai for a long time.
Yeah.
He was fighting Muay Thai in 1FC. He linked up with the Hickman brothers, originally from Durham, out at Tiger Muay Thai, and that's when he kind of got into MMA a little bit. He was he was an assistant coach for City Kickboxing before he was fighting in the UFC. Yeah, so Brad Riddell, he was able to understand the game of Muay Thai for MMA before he got into it. So that's why he's had such a quick rise through it.
Yeah, his hands looked really, really fast in this one.
I can't wait to go back.
I really feel like a lot of his fights, he's won kind of in competition or by the skin of his teeth. This fight was competitive and it was back and forth, but as the fight went on, it became more clear.
He enjoys a banger.
Yeah, it was very clear. Very
clear
that he was super comfortable there. So, yeah, Brad Riddell, Drew Dober, definitely deserving of that fight of the night. Paul Craig starting off the main card by taking down Jamal Hill in the fight that we most accurately called on the pre-show. We said if this fight ends in the first 2 minutes, it's probably because Paul Craig
did some jiu-jitsu.
Got him in some jiu-jitsu. And Paul Craig basically went out there, immediately looked to tie up with Jamal Hill, and just pulled guard.
Attacking the arm on the feet, you call that he had the mirror lock set up from the ground, and you can see that he sets up the mirror lock on the feet. He's attacking the... very reminiscent of, you see John Jones did it to Glover Teixeira back in the day of attacking that elbow on the feet, but instead of the cage, it was in the middle, and I was like, oh, that is such a great attack.
The most famous example, the reason why it's called the mirror lock, is Frank Mir versus Petey Williams. If you go back and watch that replay, Frank Mir also has a great video where he breaks down the technique, because for somebody who doesn't train to look at that, they'll just think like, that's such a weird
I think they do that in Hapkido.
Yeah, exactly. But it is a really, really vicious attack, and I've seen training partners of mine, Ben Warren, shout out to Ben Warren, I saw him in a tournament get hit with this thing, and he did not have time to tap.
Dude, they are rough.
His shoulders got fucked up. So, yeah, he was out for many months because of a mirror lock. So, Jamal Hill, feeling the pressure on that mirror lock, if you're not familiar with that move, it can kind of freak you out a little bit. So, he introduces that other arm to try to implement some defense on the mirror lock, pushes himself out, but then Paul Craig perfectly shrimps back in, pulls himself tighter, and gets the mirror lock even deeper. And then when Jamal Hill crosses his arm to try to get himself out of there, Paul Craig switches to the other arm, belly down arm bar, and instantly pretty much he did not even, in my opinion, he didn't really give Jamal Hill a lot of time to tap, but I think Jamal Hill proved why. It's because he's super tough and didn't tap even when his arm got dislocated.
And for a minute, just impersonated Gumby. Like that arm, seeing that arm flop.
And a lot of people, a lot of people that I was watching with before, because this is right before I came here, I was watching online with some friends, and we were all in Discord voice chat, and a lot of them were just like, I can't believe his arm's broken. I'm like, I think it's dislocated.
Yeah, it was dislocated.
If it was broken and rolling around in there like that, it would definitely compound or something bad.
No, like the way it flopped, you even see like how it was sitting out past the elbow joint when they separated, and it looks like they had a dance-off afterwards. They hung out
they did.
Night, so I was like, man, you cannot party with a broken arm. You can party with a dislocated one, though.
I always forget that doctor's name for the UFC, but apparently he just plugged that shit right back in, and then Jamal Hill was good to go out for the night and party with Paul Craig. So, I mean, what other sport is there where a guy literally can rip your arm off, and then you're having a beer with him like an hour later? I love this. I love this shit so much, and that's like a great example of it. Damian Maia got kind of outclassed generally by Bilal Muhammad.
I did miss that. Run me through that for where the fight take place at.
Damian Maia was doing his Damian Maia in the first round. He was looking for the single leg and pressing Bilal up to the cage, but Bilal did get taken down once, I believe, and I believe he even was in danger of having his back taken once, but he got up, which was a huge win. If you can get up when you're not sweaty from a Damian Maia assault of like grappling, that's a huge mental victory, and it only continued stacking up from there. So I don't necessarily think the blueprint for how to beat Damian Maia has been perfected
it just shows where jiu-jitsu is at MMA now, kind of like striking.
It's really the fact that
jiu-jitsu for MMA is its own sport, where if you do jiu-jitsu for jiu-jitsu, you lose. Kind of like striking for striking. Like striking for MMA is its own thing. Like jiu-jitsu for MMA is its own thing now as well.
The main thing I took away from it, and the way that I'm sure Bilal is. I'm sure
like
he's
a blue or purple.
I'm sure he's at least a purple belt.
Probably like what was like 5-year blue belts you get in MMA or something like that, where they got fundamentals but did everything no-gi with strikes afterwards.
And he's got a really good coaching staff around him. Really smart
he's still
team.
at Rufus Sport, right?
Yeah, I think so. So I mean, the thing that I took away, the biggest thing that I took is that Damian Maia, despite being so successful for so long, it seems like people have figured out that he really only has one way to get you to the ground, which is the single leg. So Bilal's coaches had him very well prepared for the single leg, and as the fight went on, it actually reminded me a lot of the Woodley fight, where Woodley was just able to completely nullify him, and Bilal just kept tagging him and touching him. I mean, the thing about Damian Maia that's allowed him to be a little bit more successful than other solo jiu-jitsu practitioners is that he's so weird and very hard to hit cleanly because of the way he stands with this weird arms out stance. It's an off cadence, it's an off tempo,
and if you're not used to it, you kind of go, well, where exactly do I punch him at?
Yeah.
And it is one of those things where even me, a more traditionally trained striker, in MMA sparring with jiu-jitsu guys, I'm like, this guy doesn't give a shit. He's just on the feet because he wants to go to the ground, so he almost doesn't care what I'm about to throw at him, and that can take you out of your game. So if you see Damian Maia, it's kind of like, yeah, you're going to punch at me, let's get this over with, and I'm going to take you down. Yeah.
And honestly, that's how Khabib was for a majority of his early career.
Very off
He just Frankensteined at dudes. As he went on, he became a lot more refined.
Yes.
But, I mean, that just seems to be a thing. If you're gonna be one of these jiu-jitsu guys, you gotta.
A lot of little guys use that George Foreman style of that mummy boxing, mummy guard of boxing.
You gotta be able to disturb the rhythm or the cadence of the striker. But Bilal found a way to put a lot of exchanges on, and then as the second and especially the third round went on, it was just so one-sided. I think Damian Maia was 1 for 20 something on takedowns. So yeah, Bilal really put it on him. It was just very uneventful in terms of no knockdowns and stuff like that. But this was one of the worst crowds for any UFC show, if not the very worst crowd of any UFC show I've ever seen.
I really try not to pay attention to the crowd.
Well, when you're here, it's actually nice because you can't hear the crowd, but you can hear the commentary. That's what I like about
You know what? You're right.
Here.
I noticed that. You can hear the commentary, but not the crowd. It was neat. Yeah.
So when I was watching it at the house, anytime guys went for a body lock or touched chest or had any kind of grappling at all, the crowd just went bananas with booing. Just insane amounts of booing.
Arizona is a stand and bang state.
There was even some booing during Brad Riddell and Drew Dober. I'm just you're getting the best fight of the month right now. You're getting the best fight you're going to get in a long time. Enjoy it. Then, of course, we had the fight that you were looking forward to the most, Nate Diaz versus Leon
Which
Edwards.
I got in just in time for it, and I was watching it out of the corner of my eye because from the first round, I kind of saw how the whole fight was going to go.
Right.
I was a little bummed out with being so, like, God, I wanted Nate Diaz to win.
Yeah, on our
like,
pre-show.
we talked about it, like,
Yeah.
or you said it, you're like, man, Nate Diaz can lose a fight and still raise his stock. And he did. Like, he managed to still be like, everyone's like, yeah, Leon Edwards, he's going to fight for the title. What's Nate Diaz going to do now? Everyone's talking about Nate Diaz.
I don't know how the son of a bitch keeps getting away with it, but he hit Rocky in the 5th round with a
And it's the first time that Leon's ever been rocked.
With a slap straight. Not a 1-2, but like an X2, you know?
And he gave us one of the best, once again, MMA photos of all time where you see Leon just like, off, and Nate going, oh, I got you. Yeah. And that's what everyone wanted to see is Nate just go, no one wants to see Nate win. They just want to see him go, I got you.
So I think the consensus globally is Conor loses to Dustin maybe, and then they do Nate Conor 3.
Absolutely.
But if Conor wins, Nate is just gone again for like 2 years.
Yeah, like, he'll come back, make $1 billion and kick it.
For the most opportune moment again, strikes like a viper.
Diaz's brother in fashion, man.
Yeah. I don't know how. I mean, obviously I know how. He was the right guy who said yes at the right time to the right fight, which was, of course, RDA.
Well, also, the UFC needed Leon to beat someone that had a height issue.
Yeah, but I just mean in terms of, like, how written off Diaz was in terms of being, like, before he fought Conor, he was obviously a guy who was on a cowboy, cowboy-like level of stardom in the UFC, where everybody respected him. He was a fighter's fighter, etc. But RDA breaks his foot. He gets the call. Of course he says yes, and it all is because he just, I mean, when he beat Michael Johnson and had that promo where he called out Conor McGregor, I don't think anybody realistically thought this guy's going to get this fight. Yeah. But then RDA breaks his foot, he says yes to the fight, he gets the fight, and then he wins the fight in such dramatic fashion, has one of the best
post-fight interviews. It does what everyone knew that Nate Diaz could do.
Of course, yeah. I mean, I don't think that, I think that much like Israel, much like a lot of guys who come into the UFC and are pretty dominant in their early days, everybody that they fight is the guy who's going to, like, give them the business. Like, this is the wrestler, like, Conor's fighting Chad Mendez now. Chad Mendez is going to give him the business, obviously. Oh, now he's going to fight Jose Aldo. Jose Aldo is obviously not going to get outstruck by some Irish dude.
Yeah.
But Nate, I think when people who know the sport really well, we're not going to write Nate off for that fight, but a lot of people did, and that's part of what propelled it to such viral levels. And, of course, how he handled everything with that. And now he is actually doing the career path that Conor should have done after the Mayweather fight, which is who gives a shit about winning the belt? Like, winning the belt doesn't make you... Winning the belt doesn't make you more money when you're Nate or Conor.
Yeah, like,
so,
I really love
that. Pick the fun fights.
I love that Nate Diaz has shown. He's like, man, if you just show up and you fucking fight... and you do the right bit of media, the right bit of shit talking, but 100% be you, you can go places in MMA.
For sure.
Like, even Paul Craig, I think, like, he doesn't look like a top 10 guy, but he's going to fight top 10 guys because he puts in the work, he shows up, he fights anybody he wants to.
He's only been in one fight ever that's gone to a decision.
Paul Craig is going to end up fighting for a title at some point.
Because light heavyweight's that bad. Mostly.
It is that bad right now, but like Paul Craig's a great example of just like show up, do the work, be who you are, and you end up going where you're supposed to go. And guess what? You can get that title shot in MMA because it's such a wild sport. Boxing has so many more competitors, so many more layers, so many more different
politics too.
Where MMA is kind of just like, just do the work, show up, and you will get it. Say yes.
Chael's big on that.
Just say yes.
Chael was really big on this.
Say yes, and you will get the fight that you want.
He said that he would say yes to fights before he even heard the guy's name.
So, to all you amateurs that are trying to cherry pick fights for your hometown promotion, don't do it. Just say yes, you will fight. And just, if you go to another promotion, just say yes, you'll fight their guy. It's way better to be the bad guy in someone's backyard. If you want to go places, if you want to go somewhere
as a fighter,
get used to being the bad guy in someone's backyard. And you will make it somewhere fighting.
If you want to be in the UFC, if you want to make it to the elite level, you
just say
You've
yes.
got to challenge yourself because, there's...
It doesn't mean like if you're 3-0 because like you're a quick starter and you're fighting for like 12 fights. Don't do that. But like
the nature of this sport, you're obviously not going to go out to an amateur card and fight like a LeBron James of MMA.
No.
But you also have the potential to fight like a guy who literally works at like Blockbuster Video or whatever, Walmart now, I guess you would say. But
yeah.
I mean, there's definitely guys out there that exist in the MMA scene strictly to lose fights. They've got big losing records. Usually the ring announcers won't even say their records when they're introducing them. And there's guys that exist in the MMA scene to sell tickets in a very small city and beat a guy who is like that.
Yeah.
But those guys usually never go anywhere, and they eventually waste their careers fighting these hometown parking lot shows.
Yeah, I tell people if I beat you, you shouldn't have been a fighter. But if you beat me, you can probably be a fighter.
That's one thing I really like about Jamie Pickett is that Jamie Pickett was in a position where he could have picked his fight, really, and he always picks the hardest fights.
Yeah.
And he's always constantly tested. I mean, the guy he fought in the UFC is for his UFC debut, not his Contender Series debut. Undefeated, such a beast, such a tough fight. And Jamie still gave him some trouble in the early exchanges,
Really only lost that fight in that close, tight pocket clinch fighting area
where everybody's lost against him.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Yeah.
Some Russian guy's name I can't even pronounce off the top of my head.
No, it was from Lloyd Irving's school. I spaced on his name.
I can't remember.
He's from Nigeria. No, who we lost to. It was not a Russian. Lloyd Irving school. He was 4-0, 5-0 or something like that.
I think he was like 8-0.
No, he lost to a guy that was like 4-0.
Let's look
okay. Sorry, we're diverting.
We are diverting.
We're getting a battle of the nerds going
Talk
right now.
about Diaz. What was Diaz doing in the striking while I looked this up?
Man, he wasn't doing. He did not like being on the back pedal from Leon Edwards. Leon Edwards kept such a consistent forward pressure with simplicity that he was down the middle on all of Nate Diaz's wide open shots. And Nate Diaz, I saw at certain times, was kind of like just walking away. Oh, here's the...
Jordan Wright!
No, wait.
That's who he lost to.
Oh, I was thinking of...
you were thinking of
Tafon the Don. Yeah, I'm sorry. Wait, when was Jordan Wright? I forgot about that.
That was the most recent fight.
The big, goofy, Cornhusker-looking kid.
Yeah, the Beverly Hills Ninja.
Oh, yeah, he looks like he'd be like a quarterback at like a Midwest like football school.
He looks like
and he came out and ran through him, yeah.
If Roland Mazzell went somewhere and asked for pickles and they gave him pickles anyway, this is the guy that would come up and be like, he asked for no pickles.
I'm sorry, I was thinking about Tafon the Don. I'm sorry about that.
So actually Jamie Pickett's lost 2 in the UFC.
But you said some Russian, I was like, oh wait, no.
I don't know why I thought he had fought a Russian, but yeah.
He looks like the guy from Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Yes.
He looks like Wyatt Russell. Yes. He looks like Kurt Russell's son without a beard. Yeah, that's what he looks like. But no, sorry.
Diaz just didn't look. He looked like he was waiting for Edwards to slow down, but Edwards doesn't slow down until the 5th.
Dude, he doesn't. And you know what? In the 5th round, we got caught. But Leon, man, he kind of has almost like a Klitschko brother style for MMA. So fundamental that you just can't do shit against it, man. He kind of had an answer the whole time, and Nate Diaz walking away, going "I'll walk over here," and Leon would go, "Well, I'm just going to stalk and measure and stay on strike range the whole time."
Nate did
Leon once again fought a perfect fight.
Yeah,
he's one of those guys where if you don't enjoy technical fighting, you don't like Leon Edwards. So me as a Nate Diaz fan, I was like, man, fuck. Leon probably could beat Nate very and
I feel like what Nate did in this fight that he didn't do versus Jorge Masvidal is he was really into making it weird. He tried more often to make it a weirder fight than make it a straight up fight like he did with Jorge.
If he made it a weird fight against Jorge, he would have had a better chance.
I think so too. Because Jorge's not really on that level that Leon is.
If you bring the fight to Jorge, he gets better.
And Nate's got some good coaching around him too, kind of underrated.
He has great coaching around him. Yeah.
So I mean, I'm sure they were like, look, this guy's way more technical than Jorge. You gotta really try to throw off his rhythm and his cadence. And eventually, he was able to. In that 4th round, he was finding a home for those punches.
He was finding a lot of home for the 1s and 2s in the middle to get Leon to back off.
Yes, but you know what I noticed about Nate that changed this fight from a couple of fights is I remember he used to really be famous for backing people up to the fence and
smother them in the pocket, body shots,
and just
headshots,
letting them rip. Yeah. But every time he backed Leon up, every time he got Leon to the fence, he just body locked with him.
Yeah.
And I was just like, where is that you remember at the end of the 3rd versus Conor when he just laid into Conor 80 shots?
Forget how deceptively big and long Leon is.
Yeah.
So anytime Leon backed up, he was pulling Nate into a frame fight, into the elbow fight, into the clinch fight that would take Nate away from the body shot and long boxing fight. He just made it a point to not engage in boxing along the cage. Leon did everything but box along the cage.
I agree.
It's when people give into that boxing fight because coaches will say, box back to get him off. Don't do that with Nate. Leon did what he was strong at. Frames, elbows, knees, keeping it smart. And Nate just couldn't get the opening. He couldn't get comfortable from that. The more comfortable he gets with that, the better he gets on the outside. But he just didn't find his rhythm the whole time.
We talked a
That's
little
why I
bit
said that's
about,
like the Klitschko's kind of like they keep you out of that cadence the whole fight.
Exactly.
You see what I mean? Like
throw that off.
To someone that's uneducated, it looks boring. To someone that's educated, you're like, fuck, you have no idea how hard that is to do.
We talked a little bit about what's next for Nate Diaz, but what's next for Leon? Obviously, they've said that Colby is going to fight Kamaru.
Man, fuck, just give Leon the title shot now.
Do you think Leon's got anything for Kamaru? What can he do against Kamaru that you think would win him the fight?
But so their last fight was a split decision. I kind of want to go back and watch it.
I would like to do that too, but it was all the way back in 2015.
I know. So that's why with this fight, I feel for Leon, man. Like, just give him the title shot now because if he doesn't get it now, it's gonna be another year and a half, 2 years until he fights for it.
I agree.
So
this is a guy who is like spinning.
Give him the fucking title shot now. But someone already said Kamaru and Colby.
Dana said that. You know?
Man, honestly, if Kamaru keeps getting better and Colby's gonna fight the same fight and probably lose just like Jorge Masvidal. So if it's a 2-round finish for Kamaru and a rematch,
Colby hasn't fought since he fought Tyron, and that felt like 2 years ago. I mean, I really don't like it when guys sit out. Like when Stipe just sat out until DC could fight again.
Yeah, I feel like I kind of feel like Leon could sit, but it might be a 4 or 5 month wait. When is there a set date for Kamaru and Colby?
No, I think Dana just said that they're going to do it again like this past weekend. This past weekend he was
so hopefully something like Leon and Kamaru could pop up end of the year.
I feel
like that could be the best.
Dana's argument for seeing Colby first is he's like Leon hasn't done enough.
He has a 10-fight winning streak right now.
But Dana's whole argument was I don't think beating Nate Diaz constitutes him doing enough. If he would have finished these, I'm like, dude, you booked the fight. It's not like Leon didn't want to fight a number 3 guy or a Gilbert Burns or a Wonder Boy. You booked him against Nate.
A lot of people like the welterweight division, man. A lot of people like to hold out and.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, at middleweight, at lightweight, people are like, fuck it, let's go.
It's because it's such a competitive and hard division. We were talking earlier about Tony Ferguson and what Tony's going to do in the future.
I was like, let's go to welterweight.
That's a hard place to be at. 155, the most popular division in all of MMA because it's the average size.
I feel like Tony, and that's why I said, you were asking what Nate should do, and I was like, yeah, Tony versus Nate.
Yeah.
Which is because Tony, if he goes up to welterweight, he could absolutely fight Nate Diaz off the bat. And I feel like that would be a fun, fan favorite fight. Nate Diaz is not in the title fight business.
Yeah.
Leon Edwards,
he's in the fun fight business.
Are in the title fight business.
Yeah.
Nate Diaz is about the fight business, and it's a different world. Where right now, Tony Ferguson needs to refocus on the fight business and not the title fight business. So I feel like do something we also Damian Maia wants to fight Nate Diaz.
I feel like the last fight Tony had that was that centered or had that theme to it was when he fought Anthony Pettis, and he looked great.
Amazing.
Obviously he got hurt, but
but I feel like Tony fighting someone like Nate Diaz could bring out that real psycho Tony.
I hope so.
And also Nate is just much more of that boxer wrestler. He has that gap of wrestling and clinch fighting that would make it competitive. The lightweights are just so well-rounded for Tony right now.
I just think that 170 is arguably worse. I mean, I don't see Tony going in there against anybody but Nate at 170.
I don't think Tony should do anything at 170. But right now, Tony needs to get a fight.
170 is so good that Tyron Woodley lost 15 straight rounds.
Yeah, it's a good fight for Nate Diaz because Nate Diaz is a former featherweight.
That's true.
So for me, as someone that enjoys watching fights and chaos,
Tony is too, right? Tony cut the 145 too, right?
I hope not. He looked like a scarecrow.
Oh no, he did. Oh, he went way overweight for Tough. He fought on Tough at like 170.
170.
Yes,
so he didn't have to cut weight.
Yeah, so I mean, he's got a little bit of experience at least rolling around over there.
No, yeah, so I mean, I feel like, for like,
what
for
else
people that want to watch fights, like, dude, make Nate Diaz and Tony Ferguson a banger of a UFC fight night headline or something like that, and then give Leon Edwards a title shot. Like, I feel like Leon should fight for the title by the end of the year.
We'll see.
If Colby and Kamaru fight for the title,
I think they're going to put that in August. Yeah, I think they'll put that in August.
and then let Leon fight him in like November, December.
The New Year's show.
New Year's show, man.
Yeah. You remember back in the day when the New Year's show used to be like the big fight card besides international.
Dude, I would watch Pride. I never gave a fuck about the UFC.
The last big New Year's card was Rousey versus Nunes.
Oh, yeah.
That was the last big one because it was on like a Friday instead of a Saturday because it was on New Year's. But yeah, I'd like to see that too. I definitely think that Leon versus Kamaru interests me infinitely more than Colby versus Kamaru, even though Colby versus Kamaru was very entertaining.
Yeah.
I have nothing but a laundry list of evidence.
How old is Leon Edwards?
29.
Oh, 29?
I believe so. We're going to check right now.
You know what, man? You know what? I would say then let Leon fight the loser of the next welterweight title bout, and then let him fight for the title.
He is 29 years old.
Okay, so he has like a year or two.
Yeah.
Of like that.
Honestly, I mean, I have nothing but a laundry list of reasons why Kamaru Usman has gotten infinitely better since he fought Colby, and I have no data. I have no data on Colby.
100%.
I have nothing to
point
point at.
Colby does.
I have nothing to point at as a prospective bettor or a prospective like analyst to say like.
Yeah, Colby fought Tyrone and Robbie the same way.
Yeah, exactly the same way that he's going to bring it again to Kamaru. They're probably going to be.
I feel like Kamaru now, just the biggest difference, Kamaru knows that he can body people.
Kamaru just
with his ones and twos.
Kamaru has just gotten infinitely more comfortable in the striking, and it presents like a large danger to Colby, obviously, but it puts a new dimension to the Leon Edwards type of matchup, or the Wonder Boy matchup, where Wonder Boy had a problem dealing with Tyron Woodley's power, and that kind of kept him from really implementing any kind of offense. Now you're dealing with somebody who has the same amount of power as Prime Tyron.
That was Tyrone's last good fight, and Wonder Boy's gotten better since that fight.
Yeah, arguably, but I'm talking. Kamaru is a guy who's got as much power, if not more. And he's got way better ringsmanship and control than Tyron ever did. So to me, I'm just more interested in literally every other fight, but Colby.
But Colby,
and it just seems like Colby is like a favorite of the UFC because they know he generates controversy and clicks.
Yeah,
he's kind of like a modern Chael Sonnen.
Also, him having the interim title shot gives him the shot over Leon Edwards, I feel.
For sure.
Yeah.
Moving on, Davison Figueiredo.
Man!
Getting choked out by Brandon Moreno in the third round. A guy that a lot of people did not give really any credit to going into the fight, or expecting, kind of the same result. And obviously in the first fight, Davison really lost the fight more so than it was Brandon winning it because of the draw, the rule violation, the point deduction. But Brandon Moreno looked pretty unstoppable in this contest.
Absolutely.
From get-go, you said that he was out there fighting like he was in the 4th or the 5th round, and I couldn't agree more. He was fighting with an urgency, and Figueiredo normally is a guy who comes out like that too, but maybe it was because of the nature of the last fight, or
I feel like Figueiredo was
never
like
really got on the gas.
Like Figgy was kind of in there for a 5-round fight, where Moreno was in there for the title from the get-go. Mm-hmm. Like Moreno came into that fight for the belt, where Figgy was like, "All right, it's my belt. I'm going to keep it." He wanted Figgy made the mistake of wanting to fight a smart fight.
Yeah.
He did not fight the same way. Even like their last fight, he came out guns blazing, I feel. Where this fight, he was like, okay, I fought him before. We've gone 5 rounds. Let me fight him 5 rounds again. Where Moreno just went, no. Like, I'm coming in and I am taking that belt from
Like it was the 6th round from the last fight.
Exactly, dude. He came out starting like he did at the end of the fight. Like
so,
he came out hard.
I actually would maybe like to do a breakdown on this if I can figure out a way to get around the UFC's like crazy YouTube assassins, but this was a situation where a submission was locked in, and I felt like almost all of the right, proper defenses for dealing with a rear naked choke were attempted to be utilized. Mm-hmm. but the intricacies of the hand fighting in that situation were so complex that I would almost be tempted to go get like Cody or another black belt or something to do it for me, because it was one of those things where I was watching along and I was like, all right, he's got to go. I mean, at this rate, it's deep. He's got to go for that hand. He immediately goes for the hand with a 2v1 and tries to take it over to the opposite side to try to spin into the guard like we saw Israel do literally in the next fight. But Moreno had the exact perfect response, and it only deepened the choke. I mean, the back control and the ability to get to the back and get such an amount of control so high up so fast, you can contribute some of it to the fact that the guy's a flyweight, so he's going to be lightning quick. But, yeah, he was like a boa constrictor on him, and this is a guy who was the lowest seed on Tough, got cut from the UFC.
Then came back 3 years later and has the title.
Yeah,
Unreal.
It's a really crazy story.
He's the kind of champion, and this is the kind of back and forth the flyweights need right now.
Yeah, definitely. If they book this fight for a third fight, I'm going to be like, hell yeah, let's fucking go.
Oh, let's do it again. I can't wait for them to fight
what else is going to happen in the division?
Once the title fights were on, I was glued to the TV. I came back, I was saying hi to people, and then when that fight was on, like everyone quiet, like little men are on for violence.
And that was the crowd pleaser fight of the night, obviously.
I feel like it was, dude. That fight was so action-packed.
I feel like the main event was more for people like us. People that appreciate more of a chess match. This was a fight that everybody...
I'll say this, man. It kind of felt like when you look at it, Moreno kind of mollywalked. Figgy, man.
And
he
it was
really
also...
did. What I loved was how Figgy even kind of went like with me. Like, I know what it's like to get my ass beat. Like, and I'm just like... Wow, you whooped my ass. Good job.
Yeah,
Figgy was kind of just like, dude, you earned that so hard.
Extremely classy.
I loved his reaction to Moreno for that.
And it was one of those things like Rose Namajunas where they won the fight, and there was that moment where they were just like almost in disbelief that they won the fight. And you get to see the actual moment where they realize that this is real. They are the champion. They are the best. That's something that you can't see in any other sport either, because when you're out there with like 11 other guys on the football field, or you've got like a bunch of guys with you on the basketball court, you kind of all have this shared celebration and affirmation together that makes it more real. But in the very final seconds of a fight and the seconds after, when the cage door is still closed, you're just so alone in there. You're so isolated in there.
Yeah.
And it probably does feel like a dream to some of these guys. I remember when Izzy fought Kelvin, he said that he felt like when he was walking back and forth, he wasn't sure if he was dreaming or if this was real, because he just had this feeling of like weightlessness and all this stuff. So, yeah, I mean, it can be crazy. I imagine, especially in the middle of 16,000 people cheering and screaming. Yes. But Brandon Moreno, a beautiful story, and I'm sure that they're going to do this
for
fight
someone
again.
with one of the most. The nickname got a lot of
baby
people.
assassin. I'm sure
I talked to some of my friends here, and they're like, "Wait, what's his nickname? Is it Baby Assassin?" I'm like, "I'm pretty sure it is the Baby Assassin." And all my friends are like, "Look." They're all shocked, and I'm like, "Look, in Mexico, it probably sounds way cooler."
If you say that in Spanish, it's like sounds
if you say hi in German, it sounds aggressive. Like, I don't know.
It reminds me of
like in English, it just doesn't translate well. Like, wait, he hates babies, but he has one and he loves it. Like. He doesn't give out abortions. Like, it's just his nickname. He looks like a baby. Like, that's what babies look like in Tijuana.
He's not an assassin of babies.
No, he's not. No, but like his face, like he has a baby face, but it's from Tijuana. So like, babies from Tijuana have seen some shit. Like, that's what we were talking about, man. Like, babies in Tijuana have bags under their eyes, man.
Most babies walking around Tijuana are Bangkok ready.
Dude, they are Bangkok ready in Tijuana as babies.
Oh, man. Yeah, I'm sure it reminds me a lot of Talladega Nights where they're like, El Diablo, what's that mean? He's like, it's Spanish for fighting chicken.
Yeah.
I'm sure that whatever it translates to in Spanish, it sounds way doper.
El Niño, like Sasamita. Wait, what?
God, what is it? Somebody's nickname. I can't remember who it is. Dorino.
Oh yeah.
It translates to the little pudding in Portuguese, which is like, I'm sure Dorino sounds way cooler. Obviously, I don't know.
They used to call me a Blanco
No wonder he didn't translate that when he stepped over like Moreno did. But then there was the main event, which, like I mentioned, was a little bit more for people who appreciate technical aspects of fighting. Israel Adesanya with the 5-round domination over the Italian
it was
stallion.
one of those where it was kind of like how I brought up with the Klitschko brothers, but more fun because it's MMA. There's more stuff to throw, but from the get-go, Izzy was just shutting down. Like he started even like Izzy, like his ability to just go from stance to stance.
Yeah,
he did it so much smoothly, and
combos.
establishing he started off orthodox. Vettori started out southpaw. And when I saw him landing that lead outside leg kick and then went to southpaw from that range, I went, oh no. Vettori even just started getting hesitant off that. And Vettori just went back to ones, twos, entries. He'd get a takedown, he'd go to stall, and Adesanya just stayed ahead the whole time. It's like Vettori trained for the same Adesanya he fought his first fight in the UFC, I feel, if that makes sense. It really does feel like he only looked at that fight over and over again. It was like, I can do this and win. But Izzy's like, dude, I was barely doing anything in that fight because it was my second fight in the UFC. I feel like he really just outclassed Marvin, and I feel like the middleweight division is about to be really boring.
This is what you're going to see when you have somebody that Izzy has a read on, but they don't just run in when they realize that.
If he ran, like Paulo Costa just ran in.
I'm pretty sure that Marvin could have been finished if he was, a little bit more careless, but he just.
But because he stuck to ones and twos, why he Paulo Costa
the double jab. The double jab was a big weapon again for Marvin again.
Look, I'll say this: Marvin has a great double jab and a great double jab cross.
Yeah.
But you need way more than that. That is just enough for Izzy to not murder you.
Yeah. Because when you back Izzy up to the cage, we saw it play out time and time again, you have to immediately engage the grapple, because if you let him rest against the fence and kind of establish a base, you're not going to take him down.
I couldn't believe it that every time Vettori would throw hooks and uppercuts along the cage, how Adesanya would just roll. And so I'm like, how are you robo-doping against a cage? Because cages do not give the same that ropes do. Yet Izzy still had enough just fluidity and calmness to pull back and stay outside of. And I was like, man, y'all don't know how hard that is in MMA against the cage.
It goes into
it's insanity.
It goes into his takedown defense philosophy or his strategy for takedown defense, because what he does is he doesn't lean back into the ropes defensively like a rope-a-doper would in boxing. He almost sits and squats down into the cage.
Yes.
That way, if you decide you want to try to grapple him, he's so based
out,
and he's also so much of his weight against the cage that he can. He's so long too.
Yeah.
He can really move his hips off the cage and kind of force you away from him and just spin out.
He did that so much.
But if you decide to sit there and strike with him, that's where he's really going to fuck you up, because he's so comfortable against most of these guys at middleweight. And especially at the point in the fight where he started really relying on the head movement, which was after the third, he knew Marvin wasn't going to finish him, but Marvin's never really finished anybody with a clean strike.
No.
So he got really comfortable against the fence, and Marvin just let that go on for so long, and it doesn't look good to the judges.
Did you hear the advice that he was getting in between rounds?
Well, I actually went back after you said that because I couldn't hear it here, so I went back and tried to find some clips, and from what I could read online, more so than what I saw, because the corner audio is extremely hard to find. I mean, it's hard to find a fucking replay of the fight, so finding corner audio before it's on Fight Pass is even harder. But what I read online was that Rafael Cordeiro was just calling for more double jab and shoot the double
the same
after
thing over and
honestly,
over and over. I mean, but
how can you call anything else when it's the only thing that's working and Marvin's not doing it?
Yeah.
Even when the fight first started, we saw Marvin come out, and within the first minute, he double jabbed him back easy up to the fence.
This fight really showed that even if you have a world-class athlete and world-class coach, Izzy is that fucking guy.
He messes with people mentally.
Where at that point, I feel like Rafael was saying that because Marvin, he does fight like a dog on a leash, not a dog off the leash. Like Paulo Costa fights like a dog off the leash. Marvin Vettori very much fights like a dog on the leash. And I feel like Rafael was saying that just to keep his fighters safe. I feel like he knows if he let Marvin get off the game plan and go wild,
he'd get finished.
He would have gotten finished and would have never he would have fallen out of that top 10 fighter fight. With a fight like that staying safe, that keeps him in that top 5, and that gives him another chance for a title, even being on a 2-fight losing deficit to Adesanya. I feel like that's if Vettori wins 3 or 4 more, He's going to fight for the title again.
Speaking of, next up for him, it's going to be USADA's worst nightmare, him versus Paulo Costa.
Again? You think so?
I think, or not Izzy, Marvin.
Oh, Marvin.
Marvin versus Costa now is going to be the fight, because they were going to do Costa versus Cannonier, and then Costa said he didn't want to fight Cannonier, so now he's out, so Kelvin Gastelum and Cannonier are going to fight.
And Cannonier's number 4 right now.
So Marvin,
I didn't know that Cannonier was number 4. I thought he was lower.
He just lost to Rob. Everybody else he's beaten.
Oh, you're right. It was Rob that he lost.
Yeah,
he
got kind of shown up by Rob. But Rob tends to do that to people, so it seems like Rob's next for Izzy again.
But
what
Izzy
can he do? What can he do against Rob? Or what can Rob do against Izzy, rather, to prevent him from just getting smoked? Because in the first fight, he got smoked, but I also feel like he realized that Israel had a read on him, and he ran in.
Rob needs to fight like it. So Rob fought. That's right. When Rob fought Cannonier, he fought like a champion.
I agree.
When Rob fought like a fighter, he lost to Izzy. And Rob made a good switch in his fight with Jerry Cannonier. And it came down to how he was training boxers. Did you hear about that interview?
Yeah.
Rob was talking about, look, if you try to box with the boxer, you fucking lose. Right. But if you just make it a fight with the boxer, there's something along those lines where he made the mistake of...
So the only other fight we really want... I mean, obviously, this fight card was... it was good. I know you missed the prelims. They weren't great. Most decisions ever on a UFC card from what I heard, but, you know, three 5-rounders back-to-back, also bound to be a little long, but other than that, I mean, it was a great night, especially watching
it was really fun, like, for people that enjoy fights.
Yes.
They were really fun. Like, for people that understand MMA, they were really fun MMA fights.
100%.
You know, it's like not every fight night is going to be a banger, but... Where MMA is at now, at this level on a pay-per-view, you're going to watch these awesome chess matches unfold, and that's what we're seeing.
We did want to discuss the next weekend's main event, which is Dan Ige versus Korean Zombie.
Oh, man.
I kind of wanted to... I'm definitely not going to make a video for it, so while we're here talking, what do you think about... What do you think about KZ versus Dan Ige?
Man, I'm going to have to go with Dan 50K Ige.
I don't know, man. I have such a hard time betting against KZ, man. I don't know why, but I mean KZ.
Like I totally get it, but just seeing
he just dusted Oliveira not long ago, right? Who was it? Sorry, 50, I'm thinking of 45. Who was the Brazilian? Nato Moicano. He just destroyed Moicano in like 30 seconds.
But also, Ige is way more patient.
I agree, and tougher.
Ige's patience, his boxing, like so. I'll say this: if there's 2 types of boxing I love watching, it's Asian and Northeastern.
Well,
like
my good friend Gene
Kim,
who is Korean. One of the reasons we initially bonded is because he told me that Irish people or Korean people are the Irish people of Asian people. Like they just love to bang. Like that's all they care about. They're tough and they like to bring the fight and they fight like Mexican boxers.
They do. No, Koreans have this different kind. Like they have this warrior, like middle class thing that the Korean Zombie very much brings about. And but the Korean Zombie. He breaks the mold with Korean fighters by getting wild. Not many Asian fighters get wild like he does.
I agree.
So Dan Ige has the patience of a Korean fighter. You know, the Korean Zombie still has the technique, the speed, the accuracy, but Ige has the patience. They're both tough. I feel like Ige could stay inside of the Korean Zombie's punches and get like a second round stoppage.
All right,
man. I know. Like I love.
I don't think it goes the full.
I definitely do. I do not see it going.
It's going to be a finish either way. Yeah. Both of these guys are obsessed with like bringing entertaining fights, and I really feel like they're both going to bang.
But no, it'll be it's 2 guys doing some technical banging. These guys are going to jab and cross out footwork.
KZ's cross
features. Like
really.
These guys will stay. Like they won't bang. But
they might.
They will.
They might.
I don't see Ige doing that until he smells blood, and that's where the Zombie has an opening because the Zombie, he has the ability to get rocked, and he finds openings instead of being rocked.
Traditionally, yes.
Yes, where Ige will find a knockout by picking someone apart. The Zombie, when he gets rocked, he finds his best shots inside that wild. Like, he will get rocked and pull people into that.
And he's not a takedown artist either. No. So when he gets rocked, it's an opportunity for him to introduce the grappling in a way that...
But Ige could also interrupt inside, like, with takedowns into the pocket along the cage and stuff like that. Like, so I'm curious, like, if Ige's patience takes him to the third or fourth round.
Yeah.
I could see Ige initiating. Like,
if he comes with the game plan to do that.
I could see Ige catching the Korean Zombie.
This is Ige's first main event, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, wow.
I don't remember another one.
I could see Ige catching the Korean Zombie, drawing him into brawls, but instead of brawling back, shooting in, not for a takedown, but just head to chest into body locks, into cage work, breaking off and then restarting the fight on his terms instead of staying on the Zombie's terms. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I feel like if I was going to say that the fight's going to end in the first, like, 2 rounds...
I don't see Ige going hook for hook.
It's KZ.
Yeah.
But if the fight ends in if the fight ends in the 3-4-5 by finish, it's Ige or decision Ige as well.
But I could see Ige tagging... so, like, he's aggressively patient.
We also haven't seen... We've seen KZ's kind of, like... I think his plateau... We don't really know where Dan Ige's is yet because he hasn't
kind of
really
on the up. Like, this would be a good test for Ige.
This is a good like.
Well, here's the thing: if Ige gets slept, cool. He fought the zombie. It happens.
Yeah, and
if you get zombied by the zombie, it happens.
He's in a position where when people know, Dana White knows, everybody knows that either one of those guys, no matter what happens in this fight, you book them for a fight, it's going to be entertaining.
Oh, absolutely.
So I think
this is a great.
This is a really good main event because both guys can go out there and fight like hell and not have to worry about maybe. I don't know, being cut or even like having to worry about being next for a title shot.
Because whoever loses is still in the UFC getting money. Like,
exactly, and they're going to be in another entertaining fight in like 6 months. Whoever wins this is definitely not fighting for the belt, but if it's Dan Ige, you got to think he's going to be fighting that upper echelon of people that we haven't seen him tested against yet. Guys, thanks so much for tuning in to another episode of the Scrapologist. I guess there will be more shorter videos, breakdowns of street fights, gas station fights.
Whenever we do stuff like this, it ends up like running through an hour.
It really does, quick, because we just talk about martial arts so long. I try to edit all the dead air out, and it's still just like so long. So if you're one of the few people that watch the longer videos all the way through, we do appreciate it. We are going to be growing the channel in a lot of different ways coming up here soon. Like I said, we get to 100 subscribers. We're going to do t-shirts.
I am all about your street fighting breakdown videos.
And,
those are hysterical.
I think you can expect to see a lot more of Trevor on the channel. I think the format of us discussing the cards works a lot better when there's 2 people. So yeah.
And I miss you.
I miss you too, man. I'm really glad that the world is continuing again. Fights are happening again.
I mean, I was making fights happening during Thunderdome.
Yeah,
like, whatever.
Yeah. You can go have a weekend like you just did in Kansas City.
Yeah.
I can have a weekend like I just did, covering fights, watching fights, getting drunk here with all my buddies. Nothing better in the world. So everything's getting better, guys. Congratulations, we did it. We survived.
We're back. The world's back.
And that's it for the Scrapologist, and we'll see you on the next video.